season 14. I'm Caitlin McFarland, one of the co-founders of the festival. This is Jen Morgan, our VP of Programming. We know we have at least half of the theater is festival goers. You guys have been doing stuff for the last 2 days. How's it going? And a lot of the theater are also single tickets. So if you don't know who we are, we celebrate television all year round. We are TV camp for grown-ups. There's not a better fit. We are doing things all weekend too. So if you have a good time tonight, you didn't know who we were, we're doing a Golden Girls script reading on Sunday, also sponsored by Hulu. It's gonna be fun. With that, Jen, would you like to talk about our programming?
I would, but before we do that,
Yeah.
we have a full house at the Paramount. And we love this show. And all I kind of want to do right now is have the audience give me a day of Bobby on 3. Can we do that?
Can we do a day at Bobby? Yeah, all right, we can.
1, 2, 3. Thank you, that was so satisfying.
Texas showed up tonight.
Yes. We are so excited to have you guys here. This has been a long time in the making. As soon as we heard the whispers that the show was coming back, we were asking for it, and so it is extremely meaningful to have it here as a little weirdo who grew up in Southeast Texas. Strongly identify with Bobby Hill. Very formative character, so I love this show, I love these characters, I love this creative team and this cast, and we're so excited to have them here, and I want to thank our partners at Hulu, at 20th Television. Thank you to Daniel, Lakeisha, Chris for making this happen with us. We have amazing partners, and something like this does not happen without them. So thank you for showing up tonight. Thank you for joining us, and we're so excited to share a first look at the new season of King of Hill with you.
And then we're gonna start the show. Enjoy.
That is my husband. He cannot help it. He was born with a narrow urethra.
Care about Peggy?
He does not have a about it.
It's back. All right, I want to hear it with you. Okay, so I'm going to say propane. What are you guys going to say? That is the weirdest call and response ever, right? But it works. I bet you are true fans. So welcome to King of the Hill, the reunion and the revival. Like I said, I'm Michael Snyder from Variety, and I've been covering this show since it began in 1997. This is a vintage t-shirt, by the way, from when I first covered it. So I am so excited to bring out right now the creators and also the stars of King of the Hill. So, and by the way, the show opener that you just saw, the sneak peek, the season 14 premiere, we just announced earlier today when it's coming back. We're going to talk more about that later. So first, let's bring them out right now. King of the Hill's co-creators and executive producers, Greg Daniels and Matt Jackson. And then we've got some of our voice cast here, Pamela Adler. Here we go, King of the Hill, everyone. Well, welcome, guys. You can tell this crowd, some of them, I think were here since this morning lined up. I saw some folks in some Strictly Propane shirts. A lot of folks wearing t-shirts tonight, right there in the front row. Very cool. So, this is a crowd that, King of the Hill hasn't been on in 15 years, but this is a crowd that has kept it alive, kept it going. People still really love this show. Greg and Mike, this must be so gratifying to see that it still means so much to so many people.
Yes, thank you for coming, everybody.
Elaborate a little bit on that, guys. What does that mean to you?
Oh, that was a
I thought Mike was about to say something more.
I didn't know we're starting, okay.
Mike, you're on stage. We're starting. This is here. We're doing a panel now. Welcome.
Yeah, it's great to be back. Great to see all of you all here and to hear the reaction to the tiny little bit we showed. But what was the question again?
What does it mean?
You asked about his emotions, and that's why you're.
Mike, you're welling up right
That's
now.
awesome.
But what does it mean to you, the fact that this show still resonates with this audience, that you probably still hear quite a bit from fans who are asking you, when's it coming back, when's it coming back, when's it coming back?
Yeah, no, it's really nice. What I hear from fans a lot, I don't know about you guys. I hear that they like to watch it right before they go to sleep. I'm all for it. I have shows like that. Right now, it's What We Do in the Shadows. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I do think it's like kind of relaxing TV, the way Beverly Hillbillies used to be for me, or even the original Star Trek, or there's a lot of shows like that. So that's a really nice thing to hear, actually, and kind of nice to be bringing it back. If the 275 aren't enough, there are several more.
Real enthusiasts. This is necessary.
There are quite a few for people, and that's part of the joy in going back and watching those originals. So Greg, do you hear much from people these days in terms of what the show's meant to them, and how maybe they've gone back and binged it over the years?
But my favorite thing is seeing people's tattoos.
I just got a tattoo here tonight. That's King of the Hill tattoos? Yeah? All right, we'll have to.
Who do you have?
Why is this wet?
Any Hanks out there? All right, we got a couple. So yeah, that must be awkward when they start to unrobe in front of you. And Greg, I need to show you something. Like, no. Not quite yet.
I have a trove of, people people who like send me their Bobby tattoos and like, I posted, I think on Instagram last year, I was in Avon's, and this girl, she's got Bobby as the Piero, what was the Frenchie, Jangly Poo, what the fuck? Tartuffe? Chartreuse? There you go. Or like they have a pin, like they have a Bobby pin, like the head is a Bobby pin. Or they have just Bobby with like his shirt up, like this, with the chips. You have that on your arms or your tit forever? Wow. But I'm honored.
Well, Pam, I'm sure a lot of people obviously come up to you to ask you about better things. And also the fact that apparently you birthed Adora, so that's fantastic as well. But how often do people come to you and want to talk to you about Bobby? Is that
all the time? It's surprising now because it's so embedded, because a generation of people grew up on it. And my youngest daughter is 22. Like, we all had all our kids together. It's fucking crazy. And so my youngest is 22, and she binged the entire series. Like, she is a King of the Hill stan, like hardcore. And then one of the photographers upstairs said that it was he and his wife's COVID watch. And so, if I talk, people are like, oh!
I hear it, yeah.
But if I don't talk, then I'm free and clear.
What do people ask you the most?
You mean about Bobby?
About Bobby and the show.
They just love it. They're obsessed with it, and they're like, oh my God, I love Bobby so much. I love the show, and they pinpoint. Like, I always say that our fans are our Bible. Like, we are the Bible of our characters, what we remember. But y'all are so, like, to the detail, like, microscopic, and so I would never second guess you saying chartreuse or whatever the fuck. I don't remember.
Right, we've got some super fans in here, so
Yeah,
they may beat you guys in trivia. I think no trivia. Stay tuned, all right. There will be time for some fan moments in a bit. Some call and response later. I opened the door, I know that's my fault. Lauren, how about you? What has the show meant to you over the years?
Oh gosh, we all grew up together. I feel like, when we first started, and just coming back has just felt like a giant family reunion. And they let us see the first 2 episodes before we got here, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. You're like, oh, there's like my long lost relative that I haven't seen in decades, and it just, every person that comes on the screen and speaks, it gives you a little lift. So I'm really excited for you guys to see it.
A lot of now grown women who were little girls when they were watching King of the Hill probably come up to you and say, like, that was so great for representation as well, to see Connie back in the day. Probably really meant to a lot of people.
Well, when Hank took Connie to Megalomart to buy tampons, the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. Besides, just being like when I was growing up, I never saw anybody that looked like me on screen, and so that is the most rewarding thing when I'm out on the street and people say that's, that I could actually envision myself maybe doing what you're doing one day. So that was very gratifying to me. Yeah.
And totally, obviously, 2 of the most iconic characters on the show were both Khan and Cotton. So.
Yeah, those were
of old, short, angry guys that say, I've never seen anybody like me on the screen before. And I also got a tattoo if you'd like to see that.
You don't want to see those guys tattoos. So.
No, we need those guys alone. Hey, you want to see my cotton? No, sir. Thank you for your service.
What did the show mean to you, and what do you think, sort of, over the years, how it resonated for you and your career?
Well, it's funny because no one ever recognizes my voice from the show because I was constantly yelling. And different, either an Asian voice or an old angry American guy. So it's not an immediately recognizable thing, but being part of it, you know, like you guys said, it was us being young, and it was some of our first, like one of our first few jobs, and then to be able to stand in a room when you're doing all the voices and watch Mike, and watch Pam, and watch Kathy and Jimmy, and Stephen Root, who's not here, and Ashley Gardner, and everybody, and just watch them act, and you know, our old buddy Johnny Hardwick too. Starting out in Hollywood and just sit back and watch for hours. Watch Pam and Stephen Root goof off. Holy shit, that was
But forever though to record things because of this.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was a great learning, and it was a project that everybody did for the right reason. We all just loved the material, and we loved each other, and it just all came together in a magical kind of way, and then we're still doing it, which is another treat. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Saladin, you were, during that first run, you were busy working on iconic shows as well, you know, also both in the animated space with the PJs, and of course Frasier and Bernie Mac, really groundbreaking, yeah. And so you were going to some of those Fox events that King of the Hill was at, so you sort of you know, got to know these guys too. But what do you remember about King of the Hill as a fan and as a colleague back in the day?
So I was a huge fan of the show, and I told Greg and Mike when I was on Frasier, you know, we had a reputation for being a pretty good show in terms of writing. And I was always like, guys, did you see King of the Hill last night? They had Snoop on, and he was from the OKC. I was like, they're doing some stuff over there, guys. So I remain a huge fan of the show. The story I tell really quickly. So I went out to LA as a part of the Disney Writing Fellowship program, which brought me and gave me my first opportunity. And it was a great program. As a part of that program, they had you write spec scripts. And this was 96, 97 when King of the Hill first premiered. And I looked up articles, I did research. I made a case for them to let me write a King of the Hill because they were like, oh, it's a cartoon. I was like, that's where you're wrong. No. Because King of the Hill is the most grounded show on TV, you know, and so I was just a huge fan of Greg and Mike did. It was groundbreaking then, wanted to be a part of it, and when I got an opportunity, it was something that you just don't say no to.
Yeah. I remember that era. I mean, it was still so groundbreaking to, you know, other than The Simpsons, there weren't really many, if any other animated shows in prime time, and King of the Hill sort of reminded people that there were other opportunities, and you guys built an amazing writing staff. You would used to go every year, you would come to Austin, right, on your sort of fact-finding missions, and what do you remember about those days and putting together this show that was so unique, and some of the things that you learned coming back down here, of course Mike, you're from here, but in coming down and you know, sort of taking that back to LA and crafting the show that was so unique?
Well, I'm actually from New York, and I always, there was a paste picante sauce, where, you know, they go, New York City! And so I always felt like I needed to listen to understand, you know, this world that, you know, Mike was depicting. And at that time, it was hard to find Texas comedy writers, so I hired as many as I could, like Johnny and Jim Notry, some familiar names. But yeah, a lot of the other ones were great writers, but they didn't really know the area, and so we would come and I handed out these reporter notebooks to everybody, which they started calling suck-up pads. It was clear how much I wanted them to use them. And yeah, we'd go into middle schools and, you know, and try and talk to exterminators and find out about a lot of good story ideas came from that.
I just had a flashback when you said that to, do you remember when we went to a gun show, it was the first, yeah, and it was to be walking, Johnny Hardwick walks in, he was a writer also on the show, and he just lifts up a camera to take a picture, really like for reference, and this guy jumps over his table, and goes and says, I need that camera, you cannot take my picture, the cops got involved. The whole, and that sort of inspired a lot of Dale. A lot of material very quickly.
I'm sure it was limitless, the amount of material for videos. But Mike, I mean, that was important for you also to just be authentic. And that's one thing that King of the Hill was it was really authentic.
Yeah, I used to, like, me and my ex lived in Richardson, Texas, outside of Dallas. Late 80s, early 90s, and Do the Right Thing came out. And I remember just thinking, like, even though I'd never even been to Brooklyn or wherever it's set, you could just tell there was something like, wow, this is really like nuanced and there must be, it seems real. Like those guys talking about the Korean grocery store and everything. Man, why can't someone just do this, but about our little neighborhood here? You know, like, kind of just like, because that movie, you hadn't seen anything like that, where it was just like observational, regular people. And I just kept thinking about that, and yeah, it kind of evolved out of that. So it was always important to me to, I guess, yeah, have it be grounded and observational. And when I was first pitching it, I just thought, they're never going to make this, you know. I don't know. They want something to follow The Simpsons, which I love The Simpsons, but I just kept sticking to it, and Greg came along and was, you know, on the same program, was down with that, keeping it real. I don't know, it just, for whatever reason, it just seemed like the right thing to do. It just kind of fit what we started with, and I can't believe it worked out so well.
Yeah. I think it might have worked out because it was a little bit like the anti-Simpsons in terms of pacing and stuff. And I remember when we had the first scene, and it was just the guy standing around the truck, sitting here.
Seeing the engine, yeah. Which I'd seen a million times, including my own dad, like just like, what the hell is going on? Yeah, pacing.
And all the notes that you ever got, because I came from The Simpsons, and the idea was to shrink everything down, make it as fast and funny as you can, and joke density was discussed, and you know, and here we had like a minute and a half with 4 words in it. We were kind of white knuckling it when it came out, because the network didn't want it to come out like that.
Well, you guys, you actually yelled out a couple of great moments from the show, and we actually have a little reel of some other fantastic moments that you'll all so why don't we take a look back?
Shut up and give me a
You first.
Give me your purse, now!
That's my purse. That's my purse! That's my purse! Let go of my purse! I don't know you! no, you did it. Good boy. Here's your treat. Bobby and Peg, come in here. Uncle Hank, clean. He's gonna be okay.
Oh, yes, good job. Well done. No problem.
Let's celebrate. I'll make an icebox cake. Bobby, why don't you... Hey, where's Aunt Peggy? The cigarette's gone.
I found her. Close the damn door. Can't you see that I am knitting?
Cigarette.
No.
Mom, this is not your son, this is your buddy.
No.
Who's your buddy? Well done, Bobby.
Hey, wait!
Thanks a lot, Leon. You have to rehire this man, Mr. Hill. Legally, drug addiction is a disability. And now that Leon's in rehab, the law prohibits you from firing him.
Rehab? Since when?
Since 4:30 yesterday afternoon. And I wasn't officially fired till 5. This is the Americans with Disabilities Act. It ensures that no person, no matter how disadvantaged, how short or obese or blind or gay or even stoned, can be discriminated or disability has begun.
Hell, right now I'd kill for a big fat blind gay guy.
I may be stuck with you, but you're stuck with me too. And there's going to be some changes around here. You will be here at 8 sharp from now on.
8? Anthony? 8's not gonna work for Leon. He's got withdrawal therapy until 11.
But then I take my methadone, so I should be feeling pretty good by the time I get here. I'm not gonna let you come to work late, all hopped up on goof and fall.
The lights dimmed. His pupils will be dilating pretty big by 12:30.
What kind of game are you trying to play here?
It's not a game, sir. It's the law, and we win. Woo!
I mean, so many great moments. I brought a couple of pieces of memorabilia from my collection here. One of my favorites is when Dale had the Peggy's Feet fetish website. Fox actually sent this out to a squishy that says peggysfeet.com because they actually put the website up for real for a period of time. You can go to Peggy's Feet. Don't go now, by the way. It's no longer an official website. And you may be doxxed, I don't know. But yeah, this is my little squishy peggysfeet.com toy that I still have. But so talk about some other, Pam, some of your other favorite memories from the show, Bobby moments that stand out.
Well, I just want to say that, through the years, if people, were just catching up to King of the Hill and they, I remember hearing somebody referring to it as a cartoon. And I always thought, this was my television, building block for being a writer, really. Because the writing, like what Greg was saying, to go from The Simpsons and everything being dense and joke, and then you have like just a minute and a half of no dialogue and one person saying, yep. And I really learned how to let things breathe, and it's really it really formed me as a writer, even though I never was a writer on King of the Hill. But now that I'm a writer and a filmmaker, it really shaped me, and I just had to say that because it's like I get to say that I'm part of this. And it still feels very pinch me. We all feel that way, but it really, it resonates for a reason because, like you said, it's so grounded. And because it's so real in this 2D animation, you just feel like you could slip in there. Like when, I grew up with old cartoons, like Warner Brothers cartoons and Bugs Bunny, and I remember seeing the real life Errol Flynn, like fly in on a vine and land next to cartoon Bugs Bunny, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And I just cracked my head open, but that's the way Arlen feels. Arlen feels real. And anyway, I just want to say that's hats off to you guys. And I also love PJs. I can't believe it, Sal. I didn't know.
So, Greg and Mike, are there like specific favorite moments that you two have had over the years that you still sort of look back at, or that you find that people bring up more often?
Well, I didn't have anything prepared, but when you said that, it kind of flashed into my head when Hank stopped Peggy from going through with the beauty pageant and kind of carried her off like the end of Officer and a Gentleman. I don't know why,
That was one of my favorite episodes too. Remember I think in the first couple seasons we were kind of going around like, let's humiliate each character. Like put them through something horribly embarrassing. And that was great. I mean, Kathy's such a great actor, like is Peggy. Like, I mean, she kind of helped really define Peggy. At the beginning, we kind of didn't really have her as this sort of, I don't know, like full of herself in a great way. Kind of, I don't know, just something about the way she played it. We started writing to it, and something really great happened pretty quickly, I thought.
I would also say, to give the compliment back to the actors, that I learned so much about how to make a show or direct from the actors. And one of the people I would point out who was brilliant, who's no longer here, is Brittany Murphy. Brittany's a person who never read it the way you thought it was going to read it.
Yeah. Just that accent. Like, I couldn't imagine anyone else playing Duane.
Yeah. Well, I think that's true.
During the show, Greg gave me two great notes as a director. One, I think me and Phil Hendry, who's another really talented guy who did a lot of voices. We were doing some, I think there were a couple of gay guys at a beach or something, and Phil and I were doing the voices, laying it on a bit heavy. It was not great. And Greg went, I never thought I'd say this, Toby, but let's do another take and less gay. And then there was some episode we were doing where I was a forest ranger somewhere and I was supposed to be a dumb guy, so I was sort of talking like this, and he went, yeah, do it again. Could you do a voice that couldn't also be a bear?
And that is why he is Mike Judge. That was great. Well, both of you two.
That's why he's great man.
Lauren, how about you? Any sort of favorite moments?
I love the rivalry between Peggy and Min. Very passive aggressive, right under the skin, kind of like jabs back and forth. And I don't remember the line exactly, but it was something where Min tries on Peggy's shoes, thinking of big feet. Oh, look at me! Your shoes are like a bolt.
By the way, PeggySpeed.com, maybe you bring it back. It's the new OnlyFans, so you guys can make a killing. Well, let's talk a little bit about the return of King of the Hill. So, Mike and Greg, take us back to, I'm sure you've been hearing this every day since 2009. Is it coming back? Is there going to be a revival? What's the possibility? And for the longest time, I mean, you probably were like, we've got a million other things going on. But when did it sort of start to become serious?
Well, I don't know. You can correct me if I'm. Should I say we were starting to talk about a spin-off first, right? About way back.
Well, way back. Yeah, you guys were gonna do. Yeah. So did you guys know you guys were gonna do a live action, Monsignor Martinez.
Pilot, it didn't happen, but we were talking about it again. I don't know what year it
That
was.
was also Joe Tree. So
Jim Gotry is a great writer.
yeah, he and us wrote Monsignor Martinez as a live action show,
And did you guys shot that pilot? I can't remember. Yeah.
It's one of the funniest scripts I think that I've ever been part of. Jim, but
it was hard to cast.
Yeah, it's hard to cast. At some point we were talking about it again, and somebody said, like, why not just do more King of the Hill? And well, because it was canceled, we didn't. That's where I remember the notion starting, but maybe not.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. And then we had an event similar to this at Sketchfest in San Francisco, and
yes, that's what it was. It was the anniversary.
Yeah, it was like the 20th anniversary. We had a table reading where we read Husky Bobby. It went over so well that we were like, yeah, there's a lot of interest. And then we went to pitch it to Fox, and then they weren't interested. But it took a while, but then they came around. Yeah.
Yeah, good things come to those who wait. So,
where it clicked for me, I'll just say, is when we started talking about actually aging the characters and the idea of Hank, that they went to Saudi Arabia for a propane gig to retire off of, and like, it just, ideas started coming in. It seemed like the fans also, I think because it's such a grounded, realistic show, it just seemed right that they would be older. Like, probably wouldn't be the same. Like, that just seemed like the right thing. And then it just, I don't know, we started talking about it, kicking it around. And
yeah, we had a lot of fun pitching out what Bobby was up to and stuff like that. And then writing the first episode with with Sal and Billy, it was such a wonderful feeling to to be in the presence of the characters. It's a little bit like I don't know, strangely
erotic.
Well, those feet, man.
Just thinking about Peggy's feet now.
It's right where my eye. I can't even think. But like you know the cast, right? The cast I was friends with, but then you realize, oh, I haven't seen Peggy in years, and Peggy was a very real character to me, and Hank and all these people, and so to get to bring them back, it was just really fun writing them and listening, kind of remembering what their takes were on it.
also, I think I remember you saying, like, we both just started watching it again and said, oh, this is a pretty good show. Probably do more of these.
Why did it ever stop? So Pamela and Toby, what did you think when you started to hear rumblings that this was maybe going to happen?
Yeah, we said it best.
Well, every couple of years, Kathy would fucking send me things. Did you see this thing? And somebody said, like, it would be like on a chat page or something, like, pre-book, and I would be like, come on, man. And so I never get gassed up over stuff like that until it's like real. And even at Sketchfest, which was the best feeling and experience, and Johnny was there, God bless the dead. We had an amazing time, but I was like, it's not gonna happen. And so I was just kind of, I never wish for things like that, because it's too big of a dream, I guess.
And one of the reporters earlier on the press day asked us if we had a hard time deciding whether to come back or not, like if we had to be convinced. And we were all like,
we're actors. We are whores. I don't even care if it's good. No.
They're like hookers with hearts of gold. That's why I came back, because I was saying earlier, that it was like, it really was like, I miss my friends. I miss my friends in real life, but I miss my little cartoon friends. We used to talk and have crazy adventures, and I want to have
100% cotton.
That's baby. I don't want to see the tat. I love the shirt. Unzip. Oh, dude.
Yeah, so the three of you, what was it like when you finally like started to get back and did you record together? Did you get a chance to be in the studio together or what?
We do table reads together, and it was really wonderful because we had like the old school and the new school, and we had these new writers, and we had Sal come in and infuse just this like juice energy into it because he's such a fan, and it was such a great infusion of joy for all of us because we get to see him get off on it and work with us on it. And so we had the good, like the vintage, like nostalgic, like perfect King of the Hill feeling with all these new writers who are bringing all this great stuff to it.
And Sal, talk a little bit about joining and of course being entrusted with this amazing franchise.
I mean, it's clearly a great honor, that goes without saying, and I've had the privilege of being friends with Mike and Greg and also being fans of theirs at the same time. One is easier than the other one. but after doing the Wonder Years, I was like, coming onto a property that already has a beloved fan base is just way too hard. You never please everybody. No one's ever gonna really accept you as the thing. And then they said King of the Hill was available. I was like, I'll do it. Learned nothing. But that, like Pam said, because I was such a huge fan of the original. And then, first time I sat down with Greg and Mike, and they kind of told me the vision they had of it being, present day, and the characters. I was like, okay, that's something we haven't seen before. That's something that we can, really tackle creatively with that. But honestly, it was just an opportunity to kind of join a family that I always watched from afar and kind of wish I'd been a member of. Kind of like, used to think of the Cosby Show like that before. Yeah. But this was a more real family.
Yeah, that's maybe a revive when you don't. It's a little different. But no, it's one of the great things too. Is like you mentioned, almost all of the voice actors are back, and of course we've talked a little bit about Johnny, but clearly the spirit of Johnny Hardwick is here, and just something that you guys all remember him so fondly, and I think it was really great to see, and we announced today at Variety that Toby is taking over as the voice of Dale. I think that's lovely that it's within the family, and that's something really special. Toby, talk a little bit about that, and taking over this beloved character. Well, beloved character. He's crazy conspiracy theorist, but
Yeah. Well, Johnny, some of you know him. I mean, he was an Austin guy, and he was a one of a kind. He was a wonderful fellow, and the fact that he's not here. He was a good man, and he was a wonderful weirdo too. And he didn't start off as an actor. He was a stand-up, and he was a goofball, and he was a writer. And the takes he would have of Dale, I'd sit there and watch him and go, well, where the fuck did he get that? Why is he going, But it was exactly what we were all doing, and I just didn't know that well. And then to watch him year after year, and then the fact that you guys trusted me to do his voice again is really humbling. And all I've been trying to do is, I'm not trying to copy Johnny as much as I guess I'm trying to be Johnny. And hopefully Dale comes out through that. But it's with a lot of love and respect for that guy because he laid down a really wonderful goofball character that strangely was a nut, but he had a lot of weird heart to him. And that's a credit to Johnny. So all I'm trying to do is to hold on to that Dale-ness and just let it breathe a little bit. So we love our guy Johnny, and it's so sad he's not here. So thank you.
and you mentioned obviously Brittany Murphy, who also is sadly no longer with us, and like I said, was so perfect as Luann. And then, of course, it goes without saying that, Tom Petty as well as Lucky. We also lost.
There's Jonathan Joss. What's the time
Yeah.
This young man told me that I couldn't stand over there. I guess he didn't know that my land's already gone, so. But, he said the mic wasn't gonna be used. And, I'm an actor. I see a mic, I use it. I see it wrong, I make it right. Take a breath, I want to breathe. And no offense, sir, I'm not a super fan. I said there's a hole in my pocket where my money should go. There's a hole. There's a hole. There's a big hole. My house burned down 3 months ago. Because I'm gay. I've had a couple loves in my life. And tonight, we got a an episode where I had an older lady. Hey, Johnny. Maybe you know by now. I was just, what? You do the same things are the lines full of emotion and real. I was just saying that, Johnny, he gave you guys a character because he is that character.
Yep.
He is that person.
This is Jonathan Joss, the voice of John Redcorn. He is in the reboot.
So, I'll shut up.
All right, well, again, shout out to Johnny and also to Tom Petty. But again, to Luann and Lucky, how are you addressing the characters going forward?
Sorry. What's the question, sorry?
So Luann and Lucky, obviously that's how you address them going forward.
It's something that we talked about and really, tried to figure out what would be the best thing both to honor them and for the fans and for the show as well. And I don't want to do any spoilers, but I will say we found opportunities to let them be referenced in the show so that we know the importance that they had both in the characters' lives. I feel in a very respectful way that people are going to appreciate it.
We saw a clip from the very first episode a little bit earlier. Season 14, it picks up, are we saying how many years later? Or, so Bobby, you are saying Bobby is 21. Yeah, so it's obviously a few years later. Hank and Peggy, like you mentioned, were in Saudi Arabia for several years. Saudi propane and Saudi propane accessories, as we were. From the first episode. So they're returning. Bobby's a very successful sushi chef now. At age 21, instead of going to school, he's now, and he's pretty good. He is a pretty good chef.
You didn't see that one coming, did you? You didn't.
Bobby found his propane accessories.
Exactly. So. And he's a great cook. So kind of take us up to speed.
It's Robata. It's German German sushi fusion. Texas.
It's
so obvious.
But it's very successful, and it's probably pretty exotic for Orleans. So it's great.
Actually, I don't know if this is going to be a disappointment to you, but Bobby's restaurant's in Dallas.
Were you expecting that reaction?
Oh, Johnson
Forgive them, for they have sinned. What else do you want us to know about season 14? What can you give away? What's not a spoiler zone?
Well, he's using, unfortunately, at the Robata restaurant, he's using charcoal.
It's
a very special episode when he finds out.
And they got so close by the end, but so that's that'll be a problem. So Pam, what playing Bobby as a 21-year-old? What was that like? And what do you make of where Bobby has been and what he's become?
Don't fucking ask me a question. I don't know what to say.
You're allowed to do whatever you want.
So this is what I say. So we all of us have kids on this thing. I don't know about you. Right. But so there's this moment where you're looking at your kids and like there's just this click that happens. Like my daughter's walking up the stairs, I'm like, oh, God, you just got older. You just see it. You live with somebody for so long and you don't notice, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa! That's what it feels like. It's just, he did the drop. He dropped into being, an adult person who could go to a bar and get a beer and also, have, agency over himself, and he's a hard worker. He learned from his parents, and that's exciting to me. I love that. I love watching young people achieve in any way, shape, or form. I just like young people to keep going and have a plan B and a plan C.
And what I see so far, Bobby's got a little bit of game and he's got a little bit of swagger. I mean,
He always did. I mean, Bobby was like the whole full spectrum. He was literally like, he was born a fully formed person. He was the Dalai Lama. He got all the ladies. So I mean, this is not an unusual thing. It's almost like as an adult, he's become more centered and a little bit like his dad.
Oh, yeah. So Lauren, how about you? So comedy obviously has, she's all grown up too, and she has some interesting tales too.
Yes, it was great to see that she turned out all right. Like, she's in college and she's, studying engineering, and she is very much more open than, so like whenever an actor does a role, they always draw upon themselves and say, well, how am I like that? Let me try to bring myself like that so it seems more authentic. So Connie's a little more open-minded than me. So that was kind of nice to see in that Gen Z way. That whole thing I had to learn about, that's sort of an acronym of, I can say that, right? ENM. You guys know what that is? I had to look it up. I had to ask my kids. Ethical non-monogamy. Racier than I thought that Connie would be.
That's a spoon. That's a little something. And Toby, let's talk about where Dale is now.
Where who?
Dale.
Dale's back doing his thing, man. But I think you were talking to Dale because of what's happening in the country. Dale now is a little bit left of right when he used to be all the way right. I think now he's been outrighted on the right with the conspiracy theory. So we'll see how Dale reacts to the world that he's in. We'll see what him do.
And Mike and Greg, I mean, the show's obviously always been about family. It's been about the Hill family, and that's been so much an important part of the story, and especially this stuff. But how would you sort of describe where this family is now, where Hank and Peggy, as they sort of move on into retirement, are now?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, we had some fun with like, what does Hank do when he's retired, you know, and like, well, a guy who just has to be working on stuff all the time. Also wanted to mention, Johnny Hardwick is in 6 episodes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you he's still going to be in the show, but yeah, anyway, I lost my train of thought.
Taking retirement.
Yeah, but part of it was Hank. When we first marketed the show back in the day, we used to say Andy Griffith's back and he's pissed. And so, you know, we liked the idea of him living on a base, the Aramco base, and it was like this completely idealized American picket fence existence for the last few years, and then to come back and just see what's you know, what state we're in.
Yeah, we looked at a lot of like, because Aramco base has built this like perfect, idyllic American neighborhood for their employees. So it seemed like a good thing that Hank. We also have, you know, Hank kind of liked that women were covered up in all this. And then he comes back and there's all these, like, there's a bike lane, a scooter lane, and lights all around the alley, and it turned into it. We're just looking at all the stuff that's happened in the last, like, 15 years. That would just, there's a whole world of things that would annoy Hank that it was just fun to play with.
And he finds that this idyllic sort of slice of Americana in Saudi Arabia is more to his liking, perhaps, than what's happening.
Yeah, they consider maybe going back.
So we've been talking a little bit about, you know, Peggy, of course, Captain and Jimmy. Peggy, of course, her self-esteem is still very high. Still has a very high opinion of herself. So some things haven't changed. These are still the characters who we know and love from back in the day. They've just maybe aged a little bit, but there's still a lot that we remember from the original. You know, talk a little bit about bringing Kathy back and sort of, you know, Peggy now as well, as she's adjusting to being back in the States.
You know, we really wanted to, like, the show's always been about characters, and the characters and their character base. And so we really want to say, what would someone like Hank, how would he handle retirement? Someone who's used to literally fixing everything, right? So, and he finds himself not having a job to go to every day. That means he's going to find things around the house to fix all the time, which may annoy his wife, who thought retirement may be different, right? So, you know, with Peggy, we wanted to really expand on, like, if there's a character who thinks that she can do anything, and now she has the free time to do it, let's have some fun with what those many things could be, right? And so we get to see Peggy try to explore some new things, what post-retirement life looks like for her. But at the end of the day, it's going to still be about their relationship and them supporting each other and encouraging each other. You know, we just kind of have fun with some of their neuroses.
And the one character we haven't really talked much about yet is, of course, Stephen Root as Bill. And it's been a couple of tough years for Bill. To take the departure of Hank and Peggy as well as everyone else. What do you want to share about where Bill is right now?
I'll just share one quote. Hope this isn't really anything, but when Hank comes back, you know, Bill lets him know, Hank, I think I finished Netflix.
All of Netflix.
I was just working with Stephen on a different streaming service show, a live action show, so I couldn't be down here, but he sends his love, and he's exactly the same. He's the same. Everybody said hi.
Well, not to put you on the spot, Pam, but how would Bobby like to tell folks about what to expect and when to expect the return of King of the Hill?
Jesus.
If you could work in 97.1 FM.
Well, I believe it's coming out on August 4th. I say good day, Austin. Is that you want?
That's pretty.
I'll put my pants on.
All right, to be fair, I'm gonna put Mike on the spot too. For the crowd, I'm returning Charlotte.
On August 4th, I will be back and I am pissed off.
Go back to Hulu, all 13 seasons are there, so do catch up, binge one more time. There's only a little 250 or so odd episodes. We've got the summer, you can do it, so definitely go check that out, and then stream on August 4. We have one more clip now to show you.
Return Dale King, man. Oh, wow. Dale, how long have you been in that trash can?
That's all right.
You want me to kill Bobby?
No.
Funky fat loser!
We can give you a new what?
She can hear you, sir.
What's Peggy doing in the alley?
Now that I am tired, I have got nowhere to be.
Who says Peggy should stay inside with the shades drawn?
Innocent phone. Bobby Hill?
This is gold, Bobby. Write it down.
Drinking beer?
Yeah?
I was joking.
I don't get it.
Tradition. Freshly cut lawns. Respect for your elders. The roar of a crowd after a touchdown. These are the stories of Texas.